Hey, this is Michael Lindsay from Vital MX. We're out here at Milestone MX today, and we're riding the 2018 KTM 350 SXF. Being that the KTM 350 SXF doesn't come in an FE model, this is actually only the third generation 350 we've had in this chassis. So compared to the 450, 250, we've spent a little bit less time on it, but every year we swing a leg over it, we're always genuinely, excitedly reminded on how good the bike really is. Main goals with this is trying not to make it feel as much like a souped up 250, but more like a slightly toned down 450. It went from being a bike that usually just rolled on, had to build RPMs to create power, to a bike that these days has a lot more bark right off the bottom. It feels like a toned down 450, but at the same time it still has more low snap. But then that's where it takes over a little different. Low to mid, you would feel like you're just on a slightly mellow 450, but then you have this huge amount of top end that's more reminiscent of a 250F. You know, it's funny, the 350, you shift it more in some situations, like on bigger open tracks, but in tight sections, you actually shift it almost less than a 450 because of that huge amount of top end. From S corner to S corner, you can just leave it in second gear, hold it really hard into the corner, instead of having the 450 where the power on those fall flat and all the inertia, that bigger engine, pulls the bike down. The 350 has that much lighter feel. So it's a little bit easier to ride into the corners at a high inertia and still be controllable, where when you have the 450 up that rev limiter, you just feel like it's towing you into the corner without your want or needs. So where the 350 really shines is the way you ride on a motocross track, namely how you shift it. Now, yeah, on a big open track compared to a 450, you're probably gonna shift a little bit more, you're gonna get up and forth a little more often, but where it's really useful is the tighter tracks. A lot of stuff that we see more often on US motocross tracks now. The 450, say you come out of a corner in second gear and you don't have enough time to shift for the second one. You'll leave it in second, really rev it out, but when the 450 gets that high RPM, you have so much more inertia that fights you and tugs you around. You just feel like you're really trying to fight the bike as you enter into the next rut. The 350, on the other hand, you can just let it scream out, where the bore stroke's a little bit different, there's less overall inertia. It's more like a 250F. When it's at high RPM, it doesn't fight you as much and you can really carry that momentum into the next corner, where on the 450 you shut off and you feel like you spend more time setting up into that corner. So last couple years, I've done most of the 350 riding at Vital. I decided to bring on my friend, Ike Cuddy. He's been in our shootouts. He was actually the person that rated the 350 the highest in the shootout last year. So it was interesting to drag him out here and let him spend the whole day on it and explain why he likes the bike so much.
Hey, my name's Ike Cuddy. We're out here at Milestone today riding the KTM 350 SXF. My first thoughts of the 350 was that it's super competitive, especially in the 450 class, just because of how much power it makes and how easy the bike is to ride. It definitely falls into the 450 category. It doesn't feel much like a 250 whatsoever. The power is nice. It comes on hard like the 450, a little bit smoother in a way just because it's slightly less of a hit, just a really controllable low-end power. Out here at Milestone today, I feel like second, third, they're really good gears, especially these tighter corners. Second actually was able to rev out quite a bit versus the 450. I felt like I had to clutch it a little bit in the tighter sections, and then seemed like it could be a bit harder to hit fourth, but on the 350 I was able to go from second to fourth quite often, which was nice. The actual balance of the bike felt really even. The front end, getting it to dive into the corners was a little hard at first when I wasn't riding it necessarily hard enough, but once I kind of picked up the pace, the balance of the bike felt awesome and the front end seemed to plant everywhere I went. If I were to spend more time with this bike, I would go out on the high speed just to see how the rear end settles doing that. And then actually with my weight, I only weigh 150 pounds. So the fork I could have softened up maybe 1 or 2 clicks, and then the rebound felt fast enough. It never felt like packing up at all. So the main thing that stands out with the KTM 350 is the power, the brakes I love, and how easy the bike is to ride. That would be the main things.
I think as you can see by our comments, the 350 is finally starting to shake off that play bike mentality. It really can be accepted as more of a full-time racer weapon. I would still say it leans more towards your vet crowd, your guys that aren't as worried about the displacement factor, the guys that want to enjoy the race more, enjoy the riding, but still at the same time know they're not really at a disadvantage on this bike.